Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Today's video is a review and demonstration on the all new NiSi Filters V7 filter holder kit. The V7 filter holder kit has just recently been released by NiSi only this month, October 2021. If you live in Australia or New Zealand, you're able to buy any of the NiSi products directly through me or through my website, and I'll put a link below in the description of this video if you'd like to order one of these kits. So let's get down to business and have a look at the new NiSi V7 filter holder kit. Okay guys, so firstly I'm just going to walk you through the kit and exactly what comes with the kit. Then we'll put the kit on my camera and explain how everything works, and then we'll take a couple of pictures and show you exactly how to take pictures using NiSi ND Filters. So what comes in the kit? Well, the first thing that stands out immediately, as with all NiSi products, is the packaging. NiSi always do a really professional and a really fantastic job on their packaging. Everything's packaged really well and professionally, and the one thing you always notice with NiSi products is just the quality of the product. As soon as you take them out of the box, they immediately look like a good quality product. So they come in this nice little box. So what comes in the box is a nice little pouch. The pouch holds the holder and all the pieces that come with it. On the back of the pouch there's also a bit of a clamp, I guess you'd call it a Velcro style clamp, where you can actually take that off and you can actually put that around the leg of your tripod. It's also got a belt clamp on there as well, so you can actually put it on your belt if you wish to. Everything comes in that little pouch. The next thing is the V7 filter holder itself. Now, if you're already a NiSi user and you have one of the other NiSi systems, you may have the V5 or the V6 filter holder kit. The V5 is an older system and it's quite different, but the last system prior to this was the V6, and this filter holder is quite similar to the V6. There are a couple of upgrades that are quite noticeable, and having used the kit for a few weeks now, I can say that the upgrades are something that I actually really like. But we'll get down to that later, we'll talk about that later. So that is the filter holder itself. And these are designed, in case you didn't know, these are designed for NiSi 100mm ND filters. That is the filter holder. The other thing that comes in the kit, and this is probably one of the important pieces, this is called the 82mm adapter ring. And this is actually the piece that attaches onto the front of your camera, onto your camera lens. And then the filter holder clips onto this. Now, the 82mm adapter also houses or holds the CPL or the Polarizer. Now, the new Polarizer that comes with the V7 kit is different to previous Polarizers. It's a new style of Polarizer called a true color Polarizer. Now, there's been 3 or 4 different Polarizers made by NiSi over the last few years, and in the past, or in recent years, I've used the Landscape Polarizer, which I've quite liked the Landscape Polarizer, but the difference between the Landscape Polarizer and the new True Color Polarizer is the color. The new True Color Polarizer is exactly true to the word, and it represents the colors very much as what you see with your eye, very true colour, hence the name. Whereas, say, the Landscape Polarizer on the previous kit probably gave deeper contrast and actually saturated some of the colours, like yellows, blues, greens were actually saturated a bit. Both Polarizers work exceptionally well. It really depends what you want to achieve with your Polarizer. I actually am enjoying using this Polarizer, as I say, because the colours are very, very true to what your eye sees, and the actual way the Polarizer works, or the polarization of it, is very good. So I'll talk about that later when we set up on the camera. The other thing that comes in the kit, of course, is the lens cap. So for me, I generally always leave the 82mm adapter mounted, almost permanently mounted on my wide angle lens, and then I put the lens cap on that when I'm in travel mode or leaving it in my camera bag or whatever. What else comes is some adapter rings. There is 67mm, 72mm and 77mm adapter rings, and quite basically whatever filter thread is on the end of your camera lens, you need an adapter ring to suit that. For me, most of my lenses I shoot with nowadays are 82mm lenses, so I don't use these adapters. This device here, the 82mm holder, goes straight onto my lenses. Now don't worry if you have a different size lens. For example, you have a smaller lens, you might have a 49 or a 52, you may even have a bigger lens. You can buy these adapter rings. They're around about $39 Australian dollars each. You can buy these in many different sizes as extras to suit whatever size camera lenses you've got. So without any further ado, we'll get my camera set up. I'll fit the kit onto my camera and explain a little bit more about how the system works, and then we'll take a couple of photos and show you how to use the NiSi ND filters and how to use the whole system. Okay guys, so just in a bit more detail here, this is the V7 filter holder itself. So I'll just quickly explain to you what is different about this to previous filter holders. Mainly it is around this area here, around the locking screw. So the little bush, I guess you would call it here, the little brass bush which actually locks the filter holder onto your lens, has been upgraded and improved. And although it may not look like a great deal, it's actually really well engineered, and the fact that it's brass is actually a really good idea because it's not going to corrode or anything like that. So, and it locates and locks onto the 82mm adapter really well. The other thing that has been upgraded is the locking screw mechanism here. Now the V6 kit prior was actually a really great design and a really good step forward from the previous filter holder, and that the locking mechanism they made on that was good, but this is even better. It's got an adjustment, just a little roller screw that you can just quite simply adjust with your finger, and the way that works is you loosen it off, and that gives you more adjustment to open and close the locking system to lock it onto your 82mm holder. And then the good thing about it is that it actually has a lock on it. So once you get it attached to your 82mm holder, you can then tighten that screw up and it will lock on your lens, so it will lock on your 82mm holder. So it will lock in place and it will not move, it can't fall off, and it won't even be able to tilt left or right. It'll be fixed tightly, and I'll show you that again when we start shooting. So that is the difference in the actual holder itself. Also the little plastic locators on the front of the holder, there's been a slight upgrade in those. They're just it'll hold 3 ND filters. I often shoot with 2. Occasionally I might use 3 ND filters, but for the most part I would use an ND filter like a 6-stop or a 10-stop, and then I might use a graduated filter as well. But it will hold 3 filters. These are just a plastic type adjustment, and they put really nice even pressure on the filter when you slide the filters in, so that the filters won't fall off and break. So that is what's been upgraded there. Okay, so this is the 82mm holder. This is the piece that screws onto your camera lens, and also the piece that holds the polarizer. Now, one thing I really wanted to show you here is the way the polarizer attaches to this holder and the way the polarizer works within the holder. That's been changed on this prior to different to the previous models, and the way this locks in the polarizer is really good. You'll see 3 little white located dots on the polarizer, and they are designed so that I'll take the polarizer off. They are quite simply designed so that you line up one of the white dots on the polarizer with the white dot on the filter holder. Exactly the same concept as attaching a lens to your camera. Exactly the same concept. And you line those white dots up, you push the polarizer in. You need to hold the little wheels, these little wheels on the side of the 82mm holder. You need to hold one of those with your thumb so they don't turn. And just line up those white dots, put that in place and just give it half a twist. It only twists that far, which is about 15mm, and that is it. The polarizer is locked into place. Really easy to attach. So that in itself is a really good upgrade. Righto guys, so now I'm going to attach this to my camera and set things up here, take a couple of images and show you how the whole system works and how the NiSi ND filters work in general. That's the 82mm adapter. I haven't got the polarizer in there at the moment, I'll put it in a second. This is my Canon 16 to 35mm lens. You can look on the end of your lens and it always tells you what size the filter thread is. On this one it says 82mm. This adapter is 82mm, so I don't need an adapter ring. I just put that straight on. So looking at the camera face on, I quite simply push this on until the threads meet and tighten that up in a clockwise position until it goes on tight. That's now on. I then grab my circular polarizer, my True Life polarizer. I will hold my finger, you'll see when I spin these little wheels that the polarizer actually turns around. I hold my finger on one of those little wheels so they don't move while I'm attaching the polarizer. You may see in this video, you may not, there's actually a couple of scratches on this polarizer because I actually dropped it on a rock the other day, but it still works fine. So I hold my finger on one of these little wheels, exactly like putting the lens on your camera. I will line up the white dot on the polarizer with the white dot in the 82mm holder, push it in till it sort of locks in, hold my finger on the wheel and turn it clockwise until it pulls tight. That's now locked in and that's tight there now. Just give it a little bit of pressure to make sure it tightens. That polarizer is now in place. I'll now spin the polarizer. I'll actually take a video clip here and show you what it looks like when you spin the polarizer. So essentially these little wheels on the side of the 82mm holder, you quite simply just turn those wheels. There's actually 2 wheels, there's one on each side. Depending on where the holder's positioned on your camera, they may be top and bottom, they might be on the sides, doesn't really matter. You just spin those wheels with your finger and you'll see the polarizer turning. Now the best way to determine what is maximum polarization is quite simply, well, the best way to do it, there's many ways you can do it, but the way in which I would do it is I would pick a subject that is in my photo, in my shot, a subject that is bright and shiny. A wet rock is always a really good example, or some wet foliage, a wet leaf on a tree, something like that. And you quite simply just spin the polarizer and watch the wet rock, for example, until the glare goes away. So what a polarizer is designed to do is remove bright sun glare, and it'll also remove glare on water as well, so you can see into the water much better too. Okay, so now to attach the V7 holder. I watch so many different people do this in so many different ways, but I'm going to explain to you the way in which I attach a filter holder, and I think it's probably the best way of doing it, or the most simple way. I see a lot of people when they attach their filter holder, they actually have the clip on the side Now that works, but it can fall off if you don't quite get it right. So for me, the most foolproof way to do this is to have the clip facing the ground. And you will notice on the actual holder itself, there's a couple of small little locator lugs. They're only quite small, about 1 or 2 millimeters they stick out. You want to use those to pick up the sharp edge on the 82mm holder, and you have the clip facing the ground. So pick those up on top of the holder until they grab on that lip on the 82mm holder, till they catch on that lip. Sit them on there, and then just hold that with one hand, and then at the bottom with the locking pin, just pull that with your finger, and it's locked. It's on. It's now on the lens. The little locking clip has grabbed on, and that is now on the lens. Now the way this little lock works is quite simply, you can spin the filter holder anywhere you want it to. If you want to tilt your filters, you don't always have to have your filter dead straight. You can tilt it to the side. For example, if you've got some really bright light coming in from one side more than the other, you can tilt your filter towards one side. So once you get the filter holder positioned where you like it, you just tighten up this little screw on the side and it locks it. Now on the back of this holder, there is actually writing or text that actually says lock and unlock, so explaining which way to tighten it to lock it and which way to loosen it to unlock it. Okay guys, so I've come out here on these rocks. This is not going to be the best landscape image you've ever seen, by the way. It's really only for demonstration. But I have framed up a composition here, a portrait orientation or a vertical shot, and I'm just going to walk you through using filters and the filter holder to set up the shot. So I've framed up my shot on the back of my camera. I always use the live view screen on the back of my camera to shoot. I've got that set up at the moment. My composition is just some rocks in the foreground with this big rock at the back, and some nice clouds out in the sky. A bit of water moving around in front of me here, you can probably see and hear that. So this is my graduated filter. Now everyone uses different graduated filters, but traditionally the most commonly used graduated filter these days would be a 3-stop graduated filter. I use 3-stop and 4-stop, just depending on how dark I want to make the sky. This one is a NiSi Explorer medium 3-stop. Medium means that graduation from dark to light is a medium graduation. Okay, so the first thing we do is put the graduated filter into the filter holder. I'm actually going to spin the camera around here so I can show you how I do that, so you can see the lens. So if you're looking at the camera front on, in other words, if you're standing in front of the camera looking back at the camera, you always want to be able to read the writing on your ND filter. So that writing should be in the upright position and facing you. That's when you know your filter's in the right way. So I'm going to use a graduated filter and an ND filter as well. I'm going to use a 6-stop ND filter as well. So whenever you're using an ND filter, and an ND filter is basically a square neutral density filter. I'll show you one of those as well, which is designed merely as a piece of black glass to slow down your shutter speed. This one is a 6-stop. So whenever you're using an ND filter and a graduated filter together, the ND filter should always be the closest filter to the filter holder. And again, as I explained with the graduated filter, the ND filter, when you look at the camera front on, you should be able to read the writing upright. That is how you know that it's going in the right, sliding in the right way. On the back of your ND filter, there is a rubber gasket. I'll show you that. It's actually not on this filter. It's actually come off, but I'll show you my 10-stop. there is a rubber gasket on the back of your ND filter. It's really important that that rubber gasket on the back of your ND filter presses up against the filter holder. What that does, it blocks out light from coming in, so you don't get what's called light leakage, and blocks out all light coming in. So it's important that you get that rubber gasket up against the filter holder. But if you put your ND filter in the right way, that you can read the writing standing upright, then that gasket will work perfectly, and that ND filter will be the filter closest to the camera. So firstly, I'm going to put my graduated filter in. Quite simply, it's going to be in the second slot. I just put that filter in. It slots in really easily on these filter holders. It goes to that point where it sort of slides in pretty easily, and then you've actually got to use a little bit of force to push it down, and you sort of want that bit of tension or force there, because that stops the filter from falling out and breaking. So what you would then do is put the camera in the right position for your image. This is just the way I use, basically the way in which I use an a graduated filter. I darken my screen, so I turn the exposure on my screen down very dark, and then I start to push the filter down from the top, and I only push it down until I can see it's covering the bright highlights in the sky, and that's as far as I go. So for me, that is far enough. I've only pushed that filter down about 2 centimeters. So just be mindful of that. You don't need to push your graduated filter right down. You only need to push it down far enough so it just darkens the highlights in the sky. So then I've got my image set up there. I will focus on one of these rocks in the foreground. The rock I'm going to focus on is approximately 1/3 of the way into the frame. My eyesight's not as good as it once was, so I actually use automatic focus on the camera now instead of manual focus. I'll move my focus point manually where I want to focus, hold the focus button down until it locks focus on that rock. The little green box has gone green, I know it's focused. I then turn the focus switch on the lens back to manual focus. So I now know that I'm definitely focused. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is bring up my histogram on the screen on the back of my camera and make sure my exposure is exactly right. I just want to get that histogram in a position so that it's not quite clipping the highlights on the right hand side, and that's exactly where it is there now. So it's telling me now that my image is at, I'm going to turn the aperture up to f11 actually. I'm at f11 and I am at 0/3, so 3/10 of a second, or that's the easiest way to explain it, 3/10 of a second. So the next thing I will do, because I'm going to use a 6-stop ND filter, I need to calculate how long I need to go for to get that exposure perfectly. If I was to shoot a photo now, which I'll take a photo now, you'll see that come up on the back screen. That's exposed exactly right. I often do that, just take a test shot with the graduated filter to make sure everything looks right, and then calculate for the ND filter. So for the ND filter, my exposure time is 3/10 of a second, or 0/3. I'll open up my phone and I'll open up the NiSi Filters app. You can get this app off the NiSi Filters through your iPhone or Android or whatever it is. Basically, it's very easy to use. The top slider is your normal shutter speed, it says that. So your normal shutter speed is 3/10 of a second. So you move the top slider until it goes to 3/10 of a second, which is that one there that says 3. And then the bottom one, I'm going to use a 6-stop filter, so I'll slide the bottom one where it says choose your filter. I'll move that to 6 stops. It now tells me 20 seconds. That means once I slide my 6-stop filter in, I will take an image for 20 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, put my 6-stop filter in, and we'll take an image for 20 seconds. Once again, sliding the ND filter in, exactly the same concept as what I spoke about before. Make sure you can read the writing upright from the front of the camera, slide the filter in from the top. ND filters slide all the way down until they're flush on both sides. Righto, so my ND filter is now in position. I'll move my shutter speed out to 20 seconds because that was the time that we needed. I'll wind this out to 20 seconds. By the way, I'm shooting on manual mode here. So I'll wind that out to 20 seconds. I'm already focused because I did that before I focused and then turned my focus button from auto to manual focus. 20 seconds. I should also use a 2-second timer so that I'm not touching the camera when the trigger fires, so that we don't get any camera shake. So I'll put the 2-second timer on and then I'll take the photo. Okay, so we're ready to go. The 2-second timer's now on. I'll press that, we'll wait 2 seconds, and we're going to get a 20-second exposure. Okay, so there's my image. I'll just press play on the back screen here, give you a closer look at that image. I'll also put that up on the screen so that you can see it. A little bit of highlights flashing on the horizon there, but I'm not worried about that. I haven't overexposed it, I know by the histogram. And that's really how you use the NiSi ND filters. I won't go into too much more depth. That's pretty much it for the review today on the new NiSi V7 filter holder kit. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll certainly do my best to get back and answer your questions and help you out. Once again, if you want to buy any NiSi filters or the new V7 kit, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can contact me, come through my website, buy the filters through me. If you're in another country, just look up your local NiSi filters dealer. Another thing I'll just quickly mention before I finish up today is this tripod I'm using today. This is a new Explorer tripod. Very, very impressive piece of equipment. Keep an eye out on my YouTube channel in the coming weeks. I'll actually be doing a full product review on this tripod, and these tripods will be available for sale very soon. That's about it, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I always say on all my videos, please do me a favour and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video, what you liked, what you didn't like, if it was helpful. That's really good. That helps me out with my YouTube coverage. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take care, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, so I'm just holding the polarizer in my hand here, and I'll use my thumb to spin the wheels. But if you look at the water in the little pool in front of me here, you'll see at the moment there's quite a bit of glare on that water. I just keep spinning that wheel until that glare's gone, and you'll see the big difference there. You can really see into the water, and it takes that bright glare away. That's when you know your polarizer's in the right position. Okay guys, just one more tip that I didn't mention before about using a circular polarizer that you may not be aware of. The circular polarizer works at its best at a 90 or 180 degree angle to the sun. So the easiest way to remember that, the polarizer essentially works best when the sun is behind you. Another thing you can do is hold your finger up in the L position, point your finger at the sun, and basically from that angle, anywhere back behind that, 180 degrees behind that is the area where the polarizer will work at its best. So generally you don't point a polarizer at the sun. It won't work very well, if at all, and it will also often cause a lot of light flare to happen. So that's just another tip to keep in mind.